Do you want your LLC or corporation taxed as an S corporation? Then Form 2553 is the document that makes it happen. Today, I'm walking you through line by line IRS Form 2553 so you don't mess it up. Form 2553 is filed under the Internal Revenue Code Section 1362, and it allows an eligible entity to be taxed as an S corporation. Now, there's a few important upfront clarifications here. This form does not create an LLC or corporation. It does not change your state entity. It only changes how your business is taxed federally. And here's another important note. If you're an LLC that is not yet elected to be taxed as a corporation, you may need Form 8832 first. But many LLCs can file 2553 alone if timely and structured properly. So now we move on to Part 1, the election information. This is an important part of the form. So here you'll enter all the entity information. This will include the legal name of the corporation, LLC, or other entity, the EIN, and it must already exist, the date it's incorporated, the state of incorporation, and the address where the IRS will send any confirmations. And this needs to be either a business address or a residential address. And if your name or address changed after getting your EIN, make sure to check the applicable box there. Line E is the effective date, and this is critical. You must enter the date you want the S-corp status to begin. Here are the timing rules. They must be filed within 2 months and 15 days of the beginning of the tax year you want it effective. Otherwise, you're requesting late election relief, and that can cause problems. So for most businesses, if you want S-corp status for this year, file by March 15th for calendar year entities. Line F is the selected tax year. And most businesses here choose the calendar year. And if you select the fiscal year, you must complete Part 2. And this section triggers extra compliance requirements. So work with the CPA here to help you with all this. Line G is the shareholder limit. This is where eligibility becomes very important. And this is because S corporations have ownership restrictions. S corps cannot exceed 100 shareholders. And if they do, they lose S-corp tax status and will likely be taxed as a C-corp instead with 2 levels of taxation. And it's worth noting here that certain family members can be treated as one shareholder. The last thing is the officer signature. And this is an authorized officer of the S-corp who must sign here under penalty of perjury. And if there's any unsigned forms, it's an automatic rejection by the IRS. Page 2 is the shareholder consent, and this is extremely important. This is where many filings fail. Here, every shareholder must be listed, provide a social security number or EIN number, state percentage ownership, and sign a consent statement. If there are no signatures here, there's no valid election. Also, once consent is given and the election is valid, it cannot be withdrawn casually, so keep that in mind. Part 2 is the fiscal year selection if it's applicable. You only complete this if you're not using a calendar year. And the options here can include natural business year, ownership tax year, or a Section 444 election, which requires Form 8716. Now, most small businesses skip this entirely. But again, double check with the CPA here to see if it's right for you. Part 3 is the QSST election, if a trust is the shareholder in an S-corp. So if the QSST stands for Qualified Subchapter S Trust, and if you have a QSST in play here and it owns shares of your S-corp, then Part 3 must be completed. This may be applicable if a trust owns shares in the S-corp. Now I should mention here, this is advanced territory. And this is typically handled with professional guidance via a CPA or an attorney. But if you have a trust and it owns your S-corp, it may apply. Part 4 is the late election relief. If you miss the deadline to file, Form 2553 includes relief provisions under Revenue Procedure 2013-30. And to qualify here, you must show reasonable cause, you must represent consistent tax treatment, and you must meet the eligibility requirements. Late relief here is common, but it must be done correctly. And again, It's wise to have a CPA help you here. So where do you file? Well, Form 2553 can be faxed to the IRS, which is often the fastest, or it can be mailed to them. And addresses and fax numbers are in the instruction. And it's worth noting that you should always keep proof of the submission and confirm the IRS acceptance here. Have it on hand, it'll just save you problems down the road. So what happens next? If it's accepted, the IRS sends you an acceptance letter, and your business is taxed as an S-corp as of your effective date. If it's rejected, the IRS sends the notice explaining why. Do not assume approval without confirmation. Form 2553 is powerful. It allows for pass-through taxation, potential payroll tax planning, and the avoidance of double taxation. But the S-corp eligibility rules are strict. You have a 100 shareholder limit. You must have only eligible shareholders, so people who are U.S. residents can only own the S-corp. You must have one class of stock, and you must timely file Form 2553. Done right, and it could be a huge tax strategy. Done wrong, and it creates a compliance headache that you want to avoid. Now, before you go, make sure to like, subscribe, and hype this video so more business owners out there don't miss this S-corp deadline.